Well, good evening and welcome to Unfiltered tonight on SABC 3. I am Naledi Muleo, standing in for my colleague Alden Sampier. Well, let's get into our discussion this evening. The looming impeachment process of the public protector, Mkhwebane, is set to forge ahead despite her challenge to the court. Well, Mkhwebane wants the court to halt the impeachment process to prevent President Ramaphosa from getting rid of her. Well, both the EFF and the African Transformation Movement have argued that the court processes should finish first, but the DA disagrees. The DA says the public protector is using delay tactics. The process has been coming since 2020, but what are the implications of this process on the office of the public protector, especially in the eyes of the public? Well, Mkhwebane's term comes to an end next year after 7 years. Our social media question to you this evening is the public protector fit to hold office? Share your thoughts. Well, let's welcome our guest. We are now joined via Zoom by Advocate Stephanie Fick, who is the Director of the Accountability Division at the organization Undoing Tax Abuse, or OUTA. We also welcome the Democratic Alliance's Chief Whip, Natasha Mazzoni, as well as the Treasurer General of the EFF, Ms. Umphile Maotwe. Remember to join our discussion on social media, on Twitter at Unfiltered SABC and Unfiltered SABC as well for Facebook. Well, let's get into that discussion. Umphile, I think I'm going to start with you because the EFF has been quite vocal here. We see the public protector going back to the courts wanting to halt the 194 process in Parliament. And you've said, well, she's right to, and that the courts must continue to do their work first before she's impeached?
Yeah, no, thank you very much, and Lady, good evening to you and the viewers at home. Look, our decision is very clear. And our support to the public protector is to say, let's allow her to finish her term of office. Let's not rush into things. But remember why she ended up going to court. The first thing that she did was to go to the Western Cape High Court to challenge the decision by Parliament on two issues. The issue of her being denied legal representative and the issue of the judge sitting in the proceedings of the committee. And then the High Court agreed with her, but then Parliament went and challenged the High Court, went to the Constitutional Court, and the Constitutional Court reversed only one portion of it, which was only her right for legal representation. So now she's fighting why must the judge still be there. And she wrote back she applied to the Court to say the decision must be rescinded. Now, our argument is the one that says, let's be fair to her. Let's allow her the long rope of the law to take its course. I mean, the President Ramaphosa threatened to suspend her, but then when she cited that she's gone back to court, then Ramaphosa postponed the suspension. Now, as the committee, we said, I think 2 times, if not 3 times this year. The last time we met prior to this last week was that she had intentions to approach the court. She had not yet approached the court. And the committee said, no, it's fine because there's nothing that is before the court so far. So let's continue with our work. And we continued. But now, this last one, she has now approached the court. And she says, I've now approached the court. Therefore, as you said previously that there was nothing before you, now there is something before you. So hold the process. Okay, well, and that's where we are.
Oh, well, let me step in because I'm going to bring Natasha Mazzoni here because you sit on the opposite side of the fence on this argument to the EFF saying, let the long rope of the law take its course. Your response?
Well, I mean, I brought the motion before Parliament at its initial stage. So I have been going through this process now for over 2 years. I initially withdrew my motion because I had so much more information that I had to add to the motion, and I resubmitted it. Now, what we must understand is that Parliament and certainly the Democratic Alliance, we follow the letter of the law. So what we did is we followed exactly what the judge's intentions were and what the judge's instructions were, and we handed in our documents to Parliament. Of course, then COVID came and disrupted everything. We've had a fire at Parliament, which hasn't helped. But the Section 194 committee is sitting and it's doing its job. What is quite obvious for everyone to see, and for everyone who knows the way the public protectors and her legal team operate, we see a Stalingrad type of attempt to withhold and hold up the motion. And it's quite simply because the public protector, seeks to lose her pension and seeks to lose her benefits. So, of course, she wants to stay around for as long as you can. But I do think that we need to, as South Africans, we are absolutely craving accountability. The court itself, the highest court in the land, has handed down the most scathing judgment it can possibly hand down, especially to a public protector, basically saying that court itself saying she is unfit to hold office. And what it is doing is it's bringing into disrepute the whole office of the public protector. Because we must remember that there are lots of people who work at the office of the public protector, and they are wonderful and brilliant advocates and attorneys who do our country proud. It is the public protector herself that is bringing the office into disrepute. So what we want to see is the Section 94 committee carrying on with its job, as the court has said it may. Right. And the court's decisions can carry on while Parliament does its job. Right. But Parliament is following the letter of the law, as the judges have indicated. Okay. Yeah. Let me step in, Natasha. I want to bring Advocate Stephanie Fikir from OUTA, because we've heard the arguments from EFF and the DA. I wonder, as an organization that operates on the outside of, on the outskirts of this process, rather, your thoughts on particularly the procedures that are being followed here. I mean, there's a lot of questions around whether or not even the president's letter requesting for the public protector to explain why she should not be suspended is in fact procedural. From a procedure point of view, do you believe that we're doing things the right way?
Yes, I do. I think the problem with just saying, let the courts decide is problematic in the sense that, we fought hard for the separation of powers. And there's not a court that will unless there's really extenuating circumstances, will take over the job of Parliament. Parliament has got a job to do. That is, she is a Chapter 9 institution in terms of our constitution. She's got the public protector has got a job to do, and it's of high standard. I think we've seen too many court cases. There is a worry that who funds all these court cases? And from a public's point of view is that, just continuously hearing about all these court cases is also not a good thing. We have held Parliament to account for their lack of action that they sometimes do take in not just this public protector investigation, but a lot of other things. And I think it's time that the process should proceed. We have heard that, and in terms of the rules, I think Parliament has been backwards to make sure that, the incumbent, whether that is the current public protector or any other Chapter 9 institution, is afforded the right to answer. At some point, one wants to just say, can't this process just proceed? I mean, the public protector, if she's innocent, and I put this in brackets because it's not a criminal trial, but it is a process, that if she's innocent, can't we hear, for and against why she should be removed and her version why she shouldn't. And the sooner this process unfolds, the sooner we can have an answer.
Well, I'm going to step in. Let me just come in there, Advocate Tufik, because I need to take a short break. But there's so much more to discuss. We've been running the logos of the various Chapter 9 institutions that we have in the country. And a little bit later, we're going to talk about strengthening our Chapter 9 institutions and the work that needs to be done to get there. But let's take a short commercial break. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Unfiltered. I'm your host, Naledi Molewa, tonight standing in for Aldrin Sampier. Well, let's continue our discussion on the looming impeachment of the public protector, Mkhwebane, and possible implications on service to ordinary South Africans. You wanted to respond, Umpile, to some of the comments that were made by Advocate Fick and Natasha Mazzoni. You say there are some factual inconsistencies there.
Yeah, no, firstly, so let's understand where the DA comes from with the public protector. You'll remember that as soon as she was appointed in 2016, already they came up with some stories that she was a spy, she saw that. And I think she took them to court and they failed to prove what they were saying about the public protector. And it's been a battle since 2017 up to now. And then, of course, they brought when they realized that they could not defeat her from that one, so they brought this motion to Parliament. So that's who they are. It's their motion, this thing. And we're not saying they must not hold anybody accountable. We are there as members of Parliament to hold the executive accountable. But also, let's give her the space to work. I mean, she's been in and out of court defending herself from 2017.
Yeah.
But yes, she still does wonders. I mean, she's the first public protector to obtain clean audits. And nobody's saying that about her. And I'm happy that Advocate Fick also mentioned that this is not a criminal case. It's a case where she lost cases in court, which many of the judges, they do lose cases in court, but none of them has been taken through what the public protector has been taken through. She's been defending herself. And lately, Naledi, is that what even makes it more complicated is that the same president who's being a subject of investigation by her office is now threatening to suspend her, based on the letter that the Speaker prematurely wrote to the President to say the committee have resumed its duties. And in that way, then the Speaker, without mixing her words, she gave way to the President to say you can go ahead and suspend. And that's why you saw the suspension. Right. But we are saying it's premature. The case is in court. Let's allow her to go through court.
Let's look at the points that the advocate Mkhwebane is essentially putting before the court, challenging everything that you've just mentioned, right? And what she's cited as well as part of her process to halt the impeachment process is she's talked about 3 ongoing investigations of her own into President Cyril Ramaphosa, one of those being an investigation into judicial capture, the ANC using an official aircraft to travel to Zimbabwe, and the president knowing that public money was used for the ANC elective conference. I'm going to come to you, Advocate Fick. What do you say about those investigations? Do they hold water?
Well, I'm going to assume that is investigations that must take their course. I mean, just from a practical point of view, yes, the Public Protector's Office has got a duty to do. But I think that is where the problem is that we do not have a public protector that was taken to court once and someone disagreed with her. Remember, if we listen to all the judgments, it's got less to do with merits. It's about review applications. So it's the procedure. And a lot of the cases against her was about the procedure that she followed. In fact, I mean, one is worried that you have an incumbent in an office where a constitutional court basically says she either does not understand her constitutional duty or she is simply ignoring it. We must remember that the public protector is not there to fight the cases in the media. There are so many other cases. She's supposed to, not she, the public protector's office is supposed to be a voice against the sort of, let me say the big wheel of the government to expose maladministration
right.
in government. So she needs to speak on behalf of communities. This is not a personality contest. It's
right.
not about, it's about someone that is able to do their job or not.
Well, this is what we've heard from the president in response to, I'm jumping in, the president in response to her going to court to halt the impeachment process, the president essentially saying, I'll do my job, you do yours, which that's the message from the president. But I want to take a short break. When we come back, let's get to that conversation around the quality of our Chapter 9 institutions, how we restore faith in those institutions, particularly where the public is concerned. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Unfiltered. Well, let's continue the discussion. In fact, we wind it down now as we continue the discussion around the impeachment process of the public protector. A few tweets have already come out. Let's take a look at some of those tweets now as they come up on the screen. So one tweet says, yes, she's very much fit and capable. She doesn't fit the mold, and that scares other people. That they're from Njabulo Mashishi on Twitter. Another tweet from Lodwick Mahasha, who says, not at all. She just doesn't have a clue on what the public protector is supposed to do. She should just get expelled, and that's it. Another tweet coming up. Shakes says, I am so surprised that she is still there. Well, let's continue our discussion. Of course, we are still joined by Natasha Mazzoni, Chief Whip of the Democratic Alliance, Advocate Stephanie Fick, Director of the Accountability Division at ALTA, as well as Umpile Mautwe, TG of the EFF. Natasha, let me come to you because we haven't heard from you in a while. Ultimately, for the public, what matters most is that we have a functioning public protector's office and that our Chapter 9 institutions have the confidence of the South African public. How do we get there?
We get there by making sure that we put people in charge of offices that are beyond reproach and that don't continuously lose court cases and who don't have constitutional courts telling them that they have zero understanding of the law. Now, let me just preface this by saying I am a matriculant and I think I have a better understanding of the Constitution than the public protector. And I don't think that that is an incorrect statement to make, nor is it an assumption I shouldn't be allowed to make. I have seen some of the court cases, I have read some of the judgments, and they are absolutely appalling. I know for a fact that there are wonderful people who work at the Office of the Public Protector. They have advised against certain judgments going out, but the Public Protector protecting herself in many of these judgments only to be embarrassed by these particular judgments. In fact, tonight, sitting at Parliament, going through some of these judgments, it's actually appalling to think that someone who managed the office, the size of the public protector, after we had a public protector who had the gravitas and the ethical values that Thuli Madonsela had, that we are now subjected to the public protector that we have today. I think very interesting when you note the parties who do want her to stay and their understanding and their understanding of judgments and of benches, and also their expressions towards the constitutional courts as well as other constitutional courts and other courts, very telling and not surprising at all that they would be in full support of someone who is so obviously in disdain of the very constitution that she looks to serve. So I think that once you've had someone of the caliber of Thuli Madonsela to come to someone who the Constitutional Court themselves finds fit and improper to hold office, it's an indictment.
Right.
And Advocate Fick will tell you that we have the capability in our country to have a wonderful advocate at the head of the helm.
Right.
Many men, many women, but no one should ever be in the state that we find ourselves in now. We simply cannot trust the watchdog of the country.
Yeah, Angela, Advocate Fick, do you want to come in there? I mean, I wonder if we spend a lot of time, though, making that comparison between Advocate Mkhwebane as well as Thuli Madonsela, and what that actually does then to the work of the office, how the public views the office. And this is essentially the real question should be, how do we get to an office, to a public protector's office that the public doesn't fear is overly politicized?
That is the problem, is that one gets the impression. I mean, I think if you ask just a normal citizen on the street, what would they think? And I do think that it is a question of, but it is very politicized, and it shouldn't be. It should be a person that really carries the best interest of South Africans at heart, no one else. No fear or favor. And unfortunately, although it seems that is, what they want to say and what the public protector and her legal team wants to say is that it's without fear and favor, and that's why she's taking this all to court. I think it's done in the incorrect way. She is accountable to Parliament, and we are saying that let that process unfold. You will have an opportunity. But I do think that it is not, I hate to compare anyone to anyone else. So it's not a comparison, but I can say, and I've said before, it's not a personality contest. It's about whether you can do the job or not. Right. And I think, our previous public protector, Thuli Madonsela, was excellent at public relations, but she also admitted, defeat. We all make mistakes, but at some point you realize, I made a mistake, let's correct it. Right. Instead of just continuously disagrees with everyone. One cannot think that after so many courts disagree with you, that you're the only one that is right, that you are the victim. I think she owes a little bit of allegiance to South Africans and stop this, just this proceedings in the it has to stop somewhere. Yeah.
Well, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We really do appreciate it. Just to wrap it up, because you're here and really in this discussion, I think you, out of all our guests, are the one that says, let the court process continue, right? Do you believe that the Public Protector's Office is not overly politicized?
Well, this current administration of the ANC has taken us somewhere else. I mean, Mazono was talking about Advocate Thuli Madonsela just now. And even when Advocate Thuli Madonsela went and investigated President Jacob Zuma never started this process of impeaching her or even threatening to suspend. So he was patient because he knew that the mandate is bigger than him. So we must also remember that Chapter 9 institutions are independent, although they're accountable to Parliament, just like the Auditor General is accountable to Parliament. But that's how far it goes. But it can't be dictated on how to do its own functions. They have to come and account on what they have done and how they've used the resources that were allocated to them. So we see here a person in the figure of an African woman who really is being ill-treated, who really has been harassed from 2017. And despite all the harassment and everything else, she stood very firm. So we are saying the DA is not the solution for us, the ANC is not the solution for us, the solution is the EFF. And we're pleading with our people to say, let's go and join the EFF. We've got 1 million member campaign right now.
I'm going to stop there because I'm not going to allow campaigning on air, because this is a conversation around our Chapter 9 institutions and their integrity. But thank you so much for speaking to us. We do appreciate your time. Mkhwebane, the Treasurer General of the Economic Freedom Fighters. Thanks as well to Natasha Mazzoni, Chief Whip of the Democratic Alliance, and Advocate Stephanie Fick of OUTA. Continue the conversation on social media, but that's where we end it. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and join us again next week.